Quiet on Set, the dark side of kids TV has been all over my For You page. And if you don't know what it is, I'll give you the Wikipedia description, which is a 2024 four-part documentary series that details the toxic behind-the-scenes world of children's television from the late 1990s to the early 2010s, especially during Dan Schneider's tenure as a producer on Nickelodeon. And what makes this whole situation even worse is that Dan Schneider responded to this documentary.
I got a chance to watch the Quiet on Set program, and I reached out to Dan to see if it was something that he'd be willing to discuss. I'm pleased to say that he said yes. Dan, how are you?
I'm okay.
Before getting started, make sure you give this video a thumbs up. It pushes this video out to other people, and I don't know if this video will even get like monetized or anything because of how sensitive the subjects are. Okay, so first things first, I think older Gen Z and younger millennials were hurt the most by this documentary because we consumed this era of Nickelodeon the most. We loved these TV shows, we loved these characters, and to some extent we loved these actors. And little did we know there was so much shady stuff going on behind the production of these shows. It's like our heroes were taken advantage of. One of the things I remember from the documentary is how sexualized kids TV was back then. I remember specifically they showed two clips of Ariana Grande. One of them was her holding like a potato and like wanting the juice to come out of it. And then there was another clip of Ariana Grande spilling water all over her chest. Like, dude, what? Like, there's only one way to see that. My immediate thought was like, dude, this is not for kids.
That content wasn't just kids finding it funny. You were putting straight up webcam. Like this was, you know what it was, Dan.
And some people would say, well, these little jokes or these little adult jokes have always been in kids TV and kids movies. But I don't think that it's to this degree. But from what I remember, I don't think that there's any TV show or any movie that made the kids make these sexual jokes or make the kids in like these weird sexual positions. I don't think there's a movie or a TV show to this degree or this frequency. Another thing, and basically the atomic bomb of this whole documentary, is Drake Bell coming on and retelling the story of him being sexually abused by an acting coach from Nickelodeon. Him retelling that story must have been really hard because he even tells the producer like he didn't want to get into too much detail of what really happened. He basically said the worst thing you can think about, that's what happened to me. I know he was in a recent scandal for having an inappropriate relationship with a minor not too long ago, maybe a few years back. I'm not trying to excuse his behavior, but I'm sure that what happened to him as a kid had a lot to do with what happened later on in the future. And what makes this story even worse is that his dad is in the documentary and talks about how he did everything in his power to protect his son. Like he knew that something was off about this acting coach. And it wasn't until, I guess, he had a falling out with Drake Bell that he let Drake be with his mom. And I'm not trying to blame his mom, but like, I guess like his mom just let the acting coach, you know, take him to these places, and eventually this happened to Drake. And on top of everything I just said, 2 additional adults were caught having inappropriate relationships with children. It's just creepy to think about. The other stuff the documentary talks about is the abuse of power from Dan Schneider towards his employees, like asking his employees to massage him, and most of the time it was like women. Dude, imagine that was your mom. Imagine that was your mom and this creepy boss of hers asks for a massage, and your mom is so scared that she goes along with it and gives this creepy boss a massage. Or your own parents being too afraid to say anything because they want you to live out your dream and you don't really know what's going on because you're too little to know. And like I said in the beginning of the video, Dan Schneider, creepy massage guy, responded to this documentary. So I saw Charlie's video about this interview, and a lot of what he said rings true. Boogie did not push back basically at all. And my thing is, and what I ask myself is, why would Boogie put himself in this situation? This man has such negativity and bad things that's around him. Why jeopardize your image? I'm not somebody who thinks that Dan Schneider is not redeemable, okay? I'm not like somebody who's like, you know what, he should just die. But with the topics that surround him being so sensitive, you should have prepared more. And I don't think I could have done any better, but I don't think I would have put myself in that situation. Because look, after every question Boogie would ask, Dan Schneider would give a response, and then they'd move on. There was no deep dive into Dan Schneider's thinking of what he did in the past.
Let's talk about the massages.
Okay.
Watching the content yesterday, it was disturbing.
It was wrong that I ever put anybody in that position. It was the wrong thing to do. I'd never do it today.
Dan, talk to me about the writer's room.
And maybe that was the original idea. Maybe they both agreed, like, you know what? I just want to give a little quick response. But with these type of topics and subjects and whatever, you can't really just give like a little quick 30-second answer and then just, oh yeah, like it's over, it's in the past. You can't do that. You really can't. Dan Schneider was also asked about the inappropriate jokes made on his TV shows, and it's funny to me that he even gave this response, because he just gave the response of, hey, these are jokes that kids found funny, and that's why we put them in the TV show.
All these jokes that you're speaking of, that the show covered over the past 2 nights, every one of those jokes was written for a kid audience because kids thought they were funny.
And in my head, I'm like, bro, did you see the potato video? Did you see the water bottle video? And those aren't the only two, but specifically for those two, there's really no humor behind that, in my opinion. And there's only one way you could be seeing Ariana Grande in that type of position, and that's in a sexual way. He also said he had to get approval for all of the stuff that was in the show, and I do believe him in that, but I don't think any executive would upset the man, possibly making them millions upon millions upon millions of dollars. Why would you deny this golden boy that's bringing so many eyes to your network? And overall, the whole interview seemed a little too perfect. Like, he knew every question that was coming. There was no like curveball to him. It was just all like, hey, this was not cool. Yeah, it's not cool. Move on. Like, there was nothing that was gonna catch him off guard. And again, that might have been the idea, because I know that famous people have publicists. You know, you can't ask this question, you can't ask this other question, but people just want like something real, something that isn't scripted, because of how bad the things were back then on kids TV. Like, if it was adults, like, yes, it still would have been bad, but because it involved children and verbal, physical, emotional abuse of children, not specifically from Dan Schneider, okay, I'm not saying that he did that, although a lot of the documentary does allude to that, but it's kids, you know what I mean? It's kids, it's children, it's kids. They don't know what's going on yet. And to finish this video, I highly suggest you go watch this documentary. It brings back a lot of the OG cast members from TV shows you might have watched as a kid. I definitely didn't get into every little detail that the documentary talks about. I believe it's 4 hours in total, so I definitely missed some stuff. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Give it a thumbs up if you did. Subscribe if you like this type of content. Comment down below if you think I should have talked about something specifically, or if you want me to talk about something in another video. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.